A Nevada residential purchase agreement is a document that contains all of the terms and conditions of a transaction involving the sale of a home. Once signed by both the buyer and the seller, it legally binds them to the contract, which outlines the purchase price, financing plan, and the rights and responsibilities of both parties. In this video, we'll cover how a residential purchase agreement works, legal requirements in Nevada, and what you need to create one. We're eForms, the biggest online database for legal documents. Stick around and we'll tell you where you can find an official residential purchase agreement specific to Nevada. First, let's review how does a residential purchase agreement exactly work. When making an offer on a home, the buyer presents a residential purchase agreement to the seller. It states how much the buyer is willing to pay for it, how it will be financed, when the offer will expire, and any contingencies that must be met before the deal is closed. It may take some negotiation between the buyer and the seller to agree on all parts of the contract. Once an agreement is met, both parties sign the document, making it legally bound. This means that the agreement can only be terminated if both parties agree to it or if a contractual contingency or a legal requirement is not met. So, what are the legal requirements in Nevada? In Nevada, the seller is required to provide a written statement disclosing the condition of the property at least 10 days before transferring ownership. This includes information about the condition of the property's appliances, electrical systems, plumbing, and more. After reviewing the disclosure, the buyer is legally allowed to cancel the purchase if they wish. Lastly, federal law requires sellers to provide a disclosure about lead-based paint exposure if the residence was built before 1978. Now that we know more about how a residential purchase agreement works and what is legally required, here are some things that you should do to make sure the process goes soundly. Include a mortgage pre-approval letter. A mortgage pre-approval letter is a document from the bank estimating how much it is willing to lend to the buyer based on their credit history, income, debts, and assets. This helps the seller determine whether the buyer is financially credible. Offer an earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is a percentage of the offer and provided to the seller as a show of good faith. It is written into the residential purchase agreement and typically delivered when the agreement is signed. Use an addendum to modify or add to the agreement. An addendum is often included with a residential purchase agreement to add to or amend any terms and conditions. It can also detail a contingency which allows either party to opt out of the contract if certain terms are not met. If you are in need of an official Nevada residential purchase agreement, you can get started by clicking the link here. Hit that subscribe button as well for more videos that help simplify the legal process for everything ranging from buying or selling a house to making a will.